Hi, this is Sandra from Great, and today I'd like to introduce you to our dynamic templates. Unlike regular WordPress templates, dynamic templates are, as the name already indicates, dynamic. That means you can use them at different places of your website and even across different websites with different content, while you still have only one place to maintain the design and layout. You'll find dynamic templates in the Great Suite dashboard when you've activated the feature or already here in the menu on the left. Here in the overview, you can see all your dynamic templates, including information on whether you've added them to any category and how often they are used on this website. To create a new template, click here. In the editor, you can then work with any block you like. My tip: the Great Editor helper lets you customize the template preview in size and background color, which is very helpful. Many blogs now offer you the possibility to make their content dynamic, for example, the heading block. You can now either directly enter a text here, which will then be static and cannot be changed when the template is used. Or you can make the heading dynamic, so you can enter the text later on your page and use the template with different headings at different places. The field will automatically get a unique name that you can edit. In most cases that makes sense, as the field name is also a help for the editor to know which kind of content to enter. Please make sure to work with unique names for each field, as otherwise all fields with identical names will automatically sync their content. You can then do the same with the H tag. That way you can use, for example, the template at one place on the top of a page with an H1 or H2 and further down with an H4. Even if you make fields dynamic, you can still enter content in the editor. This will then be used as a placeholder and an additional guidance for the content editor. As long as the placeholders are not overwritten, they will also be visible in the front end. Important tip: if you do not enter a placeholder, the field will become optional. If the editor then does not enter any content, the heading will not be visible in the front end. Other than that, you can style your headline as usual. The big advantage of dynamic templates is that you can change the design of the template later completely individually from your content. According to the same principle, you can also make links dynamic, for example in content boxes or buttons. Here you can make both the button text and the trigger dynamic. That way you can use the button at one place, for example to open a pop-up, and at another place to open a link. If you add neither a placeholder, nor an icon, nor a trigger, the button will become optional. So it will only be shown in the front end when the editor enters something when filling the template on a page. That way you can, for example, also add lists to your templates and add as many list elements as you like without placeholders, and when using the template on a page, only as many list elements will be visible as the editor enters. So now let's have a look at how to use a dynamic template on a page. I've prepared a template example that I want to use at several times on my page, each time with different content. So this is a template. We have dynamic headings, dynamic buttons, and also an optional button without a placeholder or trigger. The space here, I've kept it static, so the editor is not able to change that. So now I open the page in which I'd like to use the template and place the template block and select my dynamic template. I can now either enter the content directly in the editor or also use the fields here on the right, and only those fields are available to edit that are dynamic. For example, the space here, with which kept static, is not changeable. I will now enter some example content. Here we will keep the placeholder and just change the link. And I won't fill the optional button as I don't want to display it in the front end. So with dynamic templates, an editor won't ever have to worry again about layout options or topics such as responsive design. He or she doesn't even need to have WordPress skills, as he or she only has to fill the prepared fields. Now let's check our template in the front end. Here you can see these are our example texts and only one button is visible, the optional button is invisible. And up here I've used exactly the same template but with different content and with using the optional button. If I now like to change something, for example change the button design, I can do that without any impact on the content. So let's check the front end. Everywhere where the template is used, the button design is changed without any impact on the content. Very interesting thing here is also the responsive design. If, for example, you want different layouts or different backgrounds and different screen sizes, just copy the respective area, including all your dynamic field names, relayout your blocks or use the responsive column settings. And when copied elements all have the same name, the editor will only have to fill them once as the template then automatically recognizes that the other elements are copies and syncs the content. That way you can even swap templates without destroying content that has already been entered. If elements in your old and new template have the same name, your content will remain untouched.
And last but not least, let me show you some very handy dynamic templates features that you will find right in the editor. For example, let's assume you've created this beautiful section here and want to use it as a dynamic template. You can do so right from the editor by selecting the blocks you want to use in your template and then say simply create dynamic template. You can add a name. You could even add a category here, for example, and then you define whether or not you want to have all the fields in your template dynamic or static, so all the headlines, text, images, etc. I'm going to make everything dynamic now, and simple as that, I now have a new dynamic template that of course is also available here in the overview, and as you can see here, all the fields have automatically been made dynamic. Also, we have some more handy features here in the toolbar. So for example, if you've made changes to your template in the meantime, for example, in a different tab or via global content, you can always reload your template here. If you've made changes in your dynamic fields, you can always reset them all together with just a single click. And in case you decide that you don't want to use this section as a template, but want to have it as a static section, you can also detach the template again.
For more videos and information, please visit our Help Center.